Hi, my name is Phil DeLuna and I'm running to be a member of Parliament for the Green Party in Toronto St. Paul's in the upcoming federal election. The anticipation for an election to be called is at an all-time high, and today I'm going to talk about what it takes to be prepared for that election to happen, and strategically, why does a minority government want to go into an election and at what time, and all the things that have to go into planning for that. Interestingly enough, Stephen Harper, Canada's last Prime Minister, instituted a set date election law. But it didn't really have any much teeth to it because in 2008, just a couple of years after he implemented that law, Stephen Harper himself went to the polls with a minority government to secure a majority. So that's why a minority government would want to go to an election early, so that they can win enough seats that they no longer have to necessarily work with another opposition party in order to pass bills and laws. And more importantly, it means that their power is never in threat. In a minority government situation, there are two ways that the government can fall. They can either choose themselves to call an election, typically because they want to secure a majority, or all of the other opposition parties can band together and vote non-confidence, which would trigger an election, and that usually happens when the opposition parties feel they could capitalize and remove the current party in power. What makes this election super spicy is that we are in the middle of a pandemic and all signs are indicating the start of a fourth wave. Hopefully a fourth wave that isn't as tragic and terrible and detrimental to our healthcare system because a lot of Canadians are now vaccinated, but a fourth wave nonetheless. One thing is for certain, it feels like an election is coming. There have been announcements upon announcements of funding. There have been nominees and candidates being acclaimed left, right, and center. There have been more announcements of ministers that are stepping down and other folks who are saying that they're no longer going to run. And it's an election is happening. So as a candidate who is so far removed and has no control whatsoever on whether an election is going to be called, how do you prepare? How do you think about when an election is going to be called in a minority government situation and ensure that you're ready to go when it does? The answer is you don't really. You're as prepared as you are in that moment, and every extra day helps you become more prepared. But for me, what we're focused on is making sure we have the infrastructure in place to mobilize volunteers should we get a big increase in them, making sure we have the materials in place such as signs, literature, and postcards, all these other things that we need to run a good campaign. And making sure that we have our priorities in place, understanding what parts of the riding we should go to and do door-to-door canvassing. Really, at the end of the day, it's all about resource optimization. We have a limited number of people, a limited amount of money, and a limited amount of time. And balancing those three things to make as impactful of a campaign as possible is what you need to be focused on right until that election is called. So let me talk really quickly about prioritization. There are about 50,000 homes in the riding, 50,000 households' doors that we have to knock on. 60% of the riding actually rents, which means there's a large proportion of people who live in condos and apartments and high-rises, which is difficult to enter. In fact, we can't actually go to their door until the writ is dropped, where we're legally obliged by law to allow us to enter an apartment building. So before the writ has been dropped, we've been focusing all of our time on canvassing and going door to door in single detached homes or walk-up units. This has been helpful, and it's been really useful to get our feet wet, to practice, to talk to people, and hear about the issues that matter most to them. Unsurprisingly, we're hearing about the COVID-19 pandemic, we're hearing about climate change, and we're hearing about deficit spending and the economy. Of course, and we're also hearing about housing. That's a huge, huge thing. We've done a prioritization exercise to look at the different areas of the neighborhood or the riding where we should go first. Generally, it's go to areas where you performed strong in the last election. The second thing is look at where are the demographics that you think you can do well in. And then finally, you have to be flexible and understand that while you could have this roadmap, the way that you're on the highway will change and there will be off-ramps and on-ramps and all kinds of detours. So be flexible in how you address your prioritization exercise. Once the writ is dropped, you should be mobilizing your volunteers, emailing all of your supporters, getting the word out that you're here and you're ready to go. Another good thing is to actually email all the media, all the local media that is covering elections. Just email them, cold email them, find them on Twitter, whatever. Send them out and say, hey, I'm a candidate, I'm running, I'm here, this is what's up. It helps too if you can say what you've been able to do so far. For example, here we can say we've raised $35,000 for the campaign. We have door knocked over 2,100 doors. We have a volunteer team of 20 full-time up to 100 part-time people. We've been holding regular meet and greets. We've been out every single day. Each of these different pieces that can show media or the public or whoever that you are a serious campaign, you're a serious candidate, and you're willing to put in the work, you should bundle that all together and you should send that out to as many people as possible. To be frank, since I'm a first-time candidate, I'm not actually 100% sure what the election period is going to be like. Instead, I want to give a snapshot of how I'm feeling right at this moment in advance of the writ being dropped. Plus, it'll be a nice way for me to look back after all of this is over and, reflect on how accurate my predictions were or how off the mark it was. To be honest, I already feel like I'm 150% in this and I'm working really, really hard. So I don't think there's much more to give in terms of my time commitment. What I do think will happen is there will be more triaging and more opportunities, potentially more media outreach, potentially more community organizations that want to hear from the candidate. And it's going to be a little bit more of a prioritization aspect and thinking where I should spend my time. What's really important is making sure that you have a team in place to help you with all this. You need a volunteer coordinator, a sign captain, someone who's in charge of your Canvas plan, someone who's in charge of your digital media and your assets and your advertising, someone who's in charge of social media. And you'll need all that stuff before the election is called. So for me personally, I just want this to happen. I've been off work, living off savings since mid-April. And this is what it's all about. This is showtime. This is why I did this. And I'm excited. I want people to be excited. I want people to feel energized by this campaign. As I said, what does success look like if I don't win? Am I able to inspire other non-traditional candidates to run? Am I able to lower the barriers of entry and document what I'm doing? Am I able to make this fun for our volunteers? Am I able to hear from and speak to as many Canadians as possible? These are all of the goals that I have. And regardless of the outcome of the election, I know what success looks like and I know what I've put in. And I want to walk away from this knowing that I've left every single ounce of me on the table and that I held nothing back. And today I can proudly say that that's the case. So, yeah, let's see when the election is going to be called. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I want this to happen. Let's go. Justin, please drop that writ.